Cam Newton caught some heat for calling Dak Prescott a game manager. And of course, with Dak being the quarterback for America's team, the Cowboys, you'd expect some sort of reaction to be had. And of course, Cam's comments were met with skepticism. I mean, Dak is having a career year. The Cowboys are rolling. And oh yeah, Dak, well, he's the odds-on favorite to win the MVP award, according to Las Vegas. So how can you call him a game manager? Well, to be fair, a game manager might not be a bad thing. He makes the right plays, he makes good decisions, and he manages his teammates well. But when you call someone a game manager in the way that Cam Newton called someone a game manager, it's meant to come off as an insult. That's why people were upset. So it made me think, who are the ultimate game manager quarterbacks that have ever won a Super Bowl? And let's get to that list. So let's start off with the game manager comments, first and foremost, that Cam Newton made about Dak Prescott. And in theory, being a game manager is not some sort of absolutely brutal and bad thing. It's not a horrible thing to say about someone. It's, however, an insult when it comes in the form that Cam Newton said about Dak Prescott. Because when he said that Dak is a game manager, he's not saying that, oh, he's a superb athlete or a superb thrower of a football. He's insulting him by saying he's just a product of his environment and basically pointing to himself and saying, I'm a game changer. Well, here's the thing. Dak Prescott, when it's all said and done, is going to have a better career than Cam Newton. So Cam Newton needs to be careful what he says, because at the end of the day, Cam Newton had a good career. There was more a flash in the pan than anything else, if you really want to be honest about it, because he ended up having like one really damn good season. But it made me wonder, who are the ultimate game manager quarterbacks in NFL history that have won a Super Bowl? And the list is going to start off when I first started watching around 1995. That's when I first started watching football. Anything before that, I don't really think it's fair to talk about because I wasn't really around and wasn't able to really. So here's the thing. I had two different lists. One called definite game managers and one called arguably game managers. And the funny thing is the arguably game managers, you're going to be like, wow, this is very interesting. So let's start off with the definite game managers. And I think these ones pretty much are easy to spot. Trent Dilfer for the Baltimore Ravens was an ultimate game manager. They had the best defense. He had weapons. In general, the offense wasn't asked to win football games. The defense was the one being asked to win football games. So at the end, Trent Dilfer, when he was a quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, was an ultimate game manager. The next one is Brad Johnson on the Buccaneers. Brad Johnson, another guy who was just an ultimate game manager. Sometimes if you think in your head over and over again, like, who are the last 25 Super Bowl quarterbacks that ever won a Super Bowl? Brad Johnson might even escape your mind. Everyone talks about Trent Dilfer being the game manager. That's because he's on TV, he's on ESPN all the time, and he's very seen in the grand scheme of things, so he comes to your mind right away. But no, Brad Johnson, I would say, is even more of a game manager than Trent Dilfer. He was like the ultimate game manager in the sense of game managers. And then the third game manager that won a Super Bowl during my era is Peyton Manning when he was on the Broncos in his last Super Bowl. And it's sad, right? Because it's Peyton Manning and he's one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. He might even make the Mount Rushmore as a top 4 quarterback in history of the NFL. So for him to be called a game manager might be like sounding like you're giving him an insult, but you're not. You're just saying, hey, at that point of your career, you were a game manager. So now let's talk about people who were arguably game managers during their Super Bowl run. And we're going to start off with Ben Roethlisberger in his first Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. Look, that Super Bowl, Ben was good, but he wasn't great. I think he was in his second year in the NFL. He was an ultimate game manager. He was, the team was relying on defense, sometimes for him to make big plays and a good run game. And that is the definition of a game manager. I put him arguably on this list because I think it's kind of weird. I think people are easily able to accept that Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl as in his last Super Bowl as a game manager, but they're very slow to admit that someone winning their first Super Bowl, then getting much better in like years after, is a game manager. But in this case, it really is. The second one is Russell Wilson, another one again. The first one was against the Seahawks. Now it's Seahawks. Look, I'm a Seahawks fan. You probably can tell I'm wearing a Seattle Supersonics hat. I love the Seahawks. That was the first and only professional team in my lifetime in Seattle that won a championship. So of course I love that team. But was Russell Wilson arguably a game manager for that Super Bowl rather than a superstar? I think it's very arguable there, because they did rely on the Legion of Boom, their defense, and Russell Wilson was good. And then Russell Wilson became Russell Wilson after that. But was Russell Wilson a game manager during that first Super Bowl? I would say arguably. And last but not least, Tom Brady during maybe his first and second Super Bowl, but we're going to say his first one. It felt like he managed a very good defense, a very well-coached team, and obviously he became the greatest quarterback of all time. But during that first Super Bowl run for the New England Patriots, Tom Brady was a game manager for the team to help him win that Super Bowl. And I don't know if they could have done it without him, because he was so smart. And when I'm saying someone's a game manager, once again, and we'll get to that in a second, it's not an insult, but a lot of people do take it as an insult. So I think Tom Brady during that first Super Bowl was also a game manager. And in life in general now, it's okay to manage. Managing and being good at managing is a good thing. That's why managers get paid more. So is it a bad thing that these guys were considered game managers? Well, the way Cam Newton said it about Dak Prescott, yes, it was meant to be an insult. But I think it's not an insult when a player can come in, especially young players, like a young Ben Roethlisberger or a young Tom Brady or a young Russell Wilson, and help manage a team to a Super Bowl. That means that the coach actually trusts a young guy to make right decisions and not turn over the ball and help a team win a Super Bowl. I would say that's more of a compliment than a diss. And same thing for Peyton Manning in his last Super Bowl. He was smart enough, savvy enough to know, hey, my arm might not be what it used to be, but I'm smart enough to make the right plays. I'm not going to turn over the ball, and I'm going to help my Denver Broncos win a Super Bowl. So those are my thoughts on game managers. And in all, I don't think Dak Prescott, to wrap this video up, is a game manager. I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. I think he's playing at an MVP caliber level. And I think that in general, if you want to call Dak Prescott a game manager, I think you could have said that about him back in the day. But I think that's kind of what Cam Newton's thinking of. Cam Newton might not be watching the games. He might just be sitting there and saying, oh yeah, Dak's a game manager, because he watched him his rookie year. But that Dak is no longer there. He has the weapons, but he also has the decision-making and arm and talent to be a guy who might win MVP this year. I don't know if he's going to, but if the Cowboys remain this hot, yeah, Dak Prescott might be your MVP. And if you enjoyed this video, we're here at the end. My name is George on Tap. This is part of the Sports on Tap network. I'm here trying to give you some takes for fun and like the lifestyle of sports and working in sports. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you have any game managers yourself, and we'll see you guys next.